What is going on, Jerome's Victory Monday? Doesn't matter how you got here. All that matters if you have the crooked number in the win column, and the Vikings do, securing a 29-22 victory over the crooked Chicago Bears Sunday, historic U.S. Bank Stadium. So now, as we want to do the day after, Monday morning Vike, we have the top 10 Viking storylines, and we determine if they're an overreaction or if they are legitimate. So let's dive on in. First up, Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver one in the National Football League. Legit. All right, so quiet weeks, quiet games against Darius Big Play slaying the Eagles, as well as Jeff Okudah and the entire Lions secondary. I get it, but he blew up Marshawn Lattimore last week. He had another bang-thing game this week against the crooked Chicago Bears. He's back to leading the NFL in receiving at 547 yards. So, yes, Justin Jefferson is back to being that alpha wide receiver one. I think Kevin O'Connell has done a lot better job getting him involved in the game plan early with the scripted plays, as well as going at him often. He had 10 targets and 10 catches in the first half against the Bears. Now, we need to extrapolate that over the rest of the game, even though, yes, I mean, the opponent always has a say, and the Bears, they're just anyone else except for 18 is going to try and beat us, and they did a good job in the second half, but Jefferson is still that guy in the National Football League. Next up, number 2. Kirktober is officially back. That is also legit. Stat-wise, not the best game of his career against the Bears, but that Huevos final drive, taking it in himself, showed a lot of stones, and also the Vikings offense. I think they're starting to get things together. They had 4 total offensive touchdowns, including TD, lots of TDs. The first 3 drives against the crooked Chicago Bears. Now, the rest of the game needs to be smoothed out a little bit more, play a more complete game, but I mean, Kirk is back there slinging. He was taking chances. He was rambling and gambling. Did throw 1 interception, but again, I would rather Kirk be over-aggressive than too timid, as he was at times during the Saints game. Next up, number 3, Kevin O'Connell is the offensive innovator. That one's an overreaction for now, because it actually, we'll say kind of. We'll go kind of there, where it did seem like, so Kevin O'Connell obviously had some great ideas, greasy grime of Green Bay Packers, but then you had the Eagles game, rough, the Lions game, rough, parts of the Saints game, kind of rough. Half of the Lions game, 2 separate quarters of the Lions game was rough, but the Bears game, it was fantastic, man. Like we've been pissing and moaning. It's like, we want to see a red zone shovel pass. We got one, and the touchdown to Jalen Reagor, the flea flicker tight end screen pass, which didn't quite work out, but it looked really good. The double pass with Justin Jefferson to Dalvin, the RPO looks. I mean, it's almost like they're like, hey, Kevin O'Connell, $50 if you can do your best Andy Reid impression this week. And it looked really good. And it's been so long since we've had an offensive mind where every single week it's a different game plan. You're going to include new wrinkles. You're going to utilize your offensive weapons, as opposed to this is what we do. And the bread and butter's still there. I mean, this is still a running team with Dalvin Cook off of play action, taking shots, a lot of crossers, being able to get receivers open. So absolutely love to see it, man. So innovator, we'll go kinda. We'll go kinda now. Now, let's kick it up a notch. Let's go to the next level and start scoring 35 points a game regularly. There you go. Next up, number 4, Dontel still needs to be fired. Kind of go with kind of. Now, respect. They did step it up in the blitzing department. They did step it up with stacking the box. Of course, you had to do that against the crooked Chicago Bears, even though they were able to move it on the ground quite a bit. Now, it was weird. It was not the week to go press man across the board, but they did at times. But turning your back on a mobile quarterback like Justin Fields is not great. But it did seem like they were trying to contain him. Sometimes it wasn't too successful. But in the second half, when they got on their heels, they got scared a little bit. They turned back to that soft, 2-deep coverage, corners with 10 yards off the receiver, and they're just begging to be beat again. But frankly, props to Kirk Cousins and company, as well as Cameron Tiny Dancer, making some big-time plays. It didn't come to a head, but we always say this. If you're going to go down swinging. Don't go down looking. And the bye week is in 2 weeks after the Miami game. If Donatel's defense doesn't have some big-time changes, like we said, assistant head coach Mike Pettin, 10 years of either head coach or defense coordinator experience in this league. It's not an accident, man. Next up, number 5. Dantzler is becoming elite. that is legitimate. Now, 8 tackles leading the team. Also, they weren't Blanton tackles where your guy in coverage just catches the ball and then you tackle him. No, they're coming up in run support. They're making plays out of zone. Also, that takeaway at the end, just ripping away from ISM, just like snatch. Love it, man. Also, he's out there breaking up passes. Now, he's had a couple interceptions just bounce off of the 3. But that is what it is. But I think Dantzler, he's clearly putting in that work. He's getting mentorship from Patrick Peterson. Thomason reporting that they're watching film together a couple times a week, which is great. And remember last year when Zimmer started Brashad Breeland over Cameron Dantzler? That was good times, man. That was a long time ago. Next up, storyline number 6 for the Vikings. Special teams is Garbaggio. It's obviously an overreaction. The Vikings still have one of the best special teams units in the National Football League. It just was not great. It was absolutely not great on Sunday. The Saints gave him respect. That was one of the best special teams days for the Vikings in a long time. But Sunday was just not it, man. I had 2 holds on returns, had that missed field goal, a muff punt. Not a muff punt, just a shank punt by Wright that turned into a 5-yard net punt. You had the missed tackle. You did have a fumble on a return by Jalen Reagor. So they'll get it together. I love me some Matt Daniels, and his unit and teams will certainly get things together. But, yeah, Sunday was just not it. Number 7, Daniil is back. Kinda. Actually, we're going to say that one's legit. So, one of the main reasons that we've had issue with Ed Dontel is that they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And with Daniil Hunter, is he potentially too far along in his career to transition to a full-time stand-up outside linebacker? Maybe. He did play some stand-up at LSU for his time in the National Football League. He's been a closed end of the field, hand in the dirt, left defensive end. So is it too late for him to turn things around? Maybe. But he did have 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, as well as a sack in the game against the Bears. But on a big third down, like, he dropped into coverage. Like, he bluffed like he was rushing a zone blitz. He dropped into coverage, and stop using him like that. Like, I don't care if that makes him predictable. Guess what? They still have to stop 99. It's just imperfect as of yet. Next up, number 8. Irv is back as the Vikings tight end 1. That one's kind of where it's not a demerit on Johnny Munt. I think Munt is a better blocker, but Irv had himself a phenomenal game on Sunday. Had 4 catches, including a couple big-time catches over the middle on that final drive. Great blocks on 2 of the touchdowns. So, respect. 84 is doing the dirty work. He's not dropping balls like he did the first couple games back. So, respect. I think that Irv, maybe he's not tight end 1. Maybe the Vikings don't really have a tight end 1. Working in Munt. Maybe they'll work in Jacob Hollister at some point. Maybe they'll get Ellefson back. Maybe they want to get Nick Muse involved. But they've been doing work. So respect there. Next up, storyline number 9. Winning like this is not sustainable. That is obviously an overreaction. Where I actually feel really good that the Vikings were able to pull it out of the fire against the Lions, against the Saints, against the Bears, because every single game is close. Like, no matter who the teams are, no matter how many injuries one side has, it always comes down to, like an ace-king versus pocket-queens 53-47 situation. Like, it is a coin flip, and sometimes you run hot, sometimes you don't. And like we said on here a bunch, the confidence in close games, whether you're coming back or whether you let the other team come back, it's whatever. It doesn't matter how you got there. Can you make a play on this down? Can you do this? Can you do that? Just find a way and don't quit. So I think that's infectious. And frankly, teams that have been in playoff mode, or teams that have been tested in tight games throughout the season, they just seem to do better in crunch time than a team that has been untested throughout the entire year. You find that in high school sports, college, and the National Football League as well. Lastly, point number 10. The NFC North is the Vikings to lose, and that one is absolutely legit because if you look, the Vikings 4-1, a game clear of the Packers, also have a leg up in the head-to-head. The Bears, I don't think the Bears are getting in anytime soon. I think the Lions may have deceased, that they have ceased to be. So, yeah, the Packers... the Packers do have a decent run of games in the next couple weeks, but the Vikings, like we pointed out, the Vikings down in Miami, where they're 3-point favorites now, by the way, because of all the injury shenanigans going on with the Dolphins. You got the bye week. The Cardinals, you come into your place, they're a different team when they're on the road. They will have Nuke back at that time. The Commies, who knows? And then you got the Bills. All right, now I'm calling it now. Like, watch the Vikings get blown out by the Commies in the Kirk Cousins Bowl by 30, but then go into Buffalo and then beat the Bills. because football is extremely stupid. But then that's sexiness. Yes, the Cowboys are tough. Yes, the Patriots are getting things together. Yes, the Jets are over their skis. Yes, the Colts might be decent. Yes, the Giants are 4-1. But 5 out of 6 games at home, that is huge. That is monstrous. And I don't care that the Vikings play at Green Bay Week 17. They may have already had the division sewed up by then. So that's the goal, man. That's the goal. So, yes, the NFC North, it does run through Minnesota. And the Vikings are already 3-0 in the division. Yes, all these games are at home. But that's a huge advantage. Absolutely huge advantage. Because, the old saying in the NFL is, win at home, split on the road. And the Vikings are holding serve at home. They dropped that game against Philly. That's a loss. They won a game over in London against the Saints. So they are splitting on the road. They're taking care of business at home. Keep this up, and they'll be sitting pretty as it goes along. But that's it. Wrong slide. That's it. That's top 10 Viking storylines, and we determine overreaction or if they're legit. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Once put the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.